Hello, hello, everyone. It's Julie Santiago here, and I'm here with the absolutely luminous and beautiful and wonderful Kim, who is one of our clients. So just welcome me and saying welcome to Kim. Kim, thank you so much for being here with us for today's little show. I appreciate you.
It's my pleasure.
So, I am so glad you're here. I am so glad that we've had our time together. I mean, it really has and was such an incredible honor to witness your journey and your transformation over the time that we worked together. I will never forget the vision that I have of you about halfway through our program when I got to meet you in person at our retreat. And I just hold that so close to my heart. So I think the way that I want to just have you start is by telling us a little bit about what life feels like now. So what do you want to celebrate? What is going well for you that definitely, just wasn't accessible for you before the program? And then we'll go from there. So just tell us what life is like now.
Okay. Life is much more of a thing to be celebrated now. I have much more of an awareness about the control that I have. I have much more welcome to whatever comes my way. I trust a lot more than I did in myself, in the benevolence of the greater good that's all around us. I'm not as fearful. And so things look the future looks more luminous to me. I don't know what it is yet, but it's not as scary, and it's not, it's something I look forward to.
Mm. That's huge. So the future's not as scary. It's something you look forward to now. There's an excitement for it. There's a greater sense of trust and the benevolence of life.
Yeah.
So those are all really beautiful. I mean, I hear a sense of peace, trust, and excitement for life and for the future. Yeah. So where were you before? Where were you before joining this program?
In so much fear, and almost a paralysis of fear of what was to come, of figuring out who I am, of just any next steps in my life. I was in a complete and utter crossroads when I came to you, and nothing was familiar at all anymore. My life was changing completely, and I was scared to death about it.
Yeah.
So that was what was going on, and I knew that I needed some sort of help and some sort of direction to be able to explore what's next.
I think we may have frozen just for a second, so we'll just see. Yeah, there you are. Are you still there? You still there with us, Ken?
All right, I have to plug in my phone. Excuse me.
All right, you plug in your phone. Don't worry. I'm just going to repeat. There you go. I see your beautiful watch in your hand.
Sorry.
Just some logistical things, just to make sure, we can keep talking.
Okay.
All right, great. Beautiful.
Okay, sorry.
You're all good. Thank you, honey. Okay, so you were saying that you were at a crossroads in your life. You knew you were at a crossroads in your life. You were stuck in some fear, paralysis. Your life was changing, and you were really scared, and you needed help, and you needed direction.
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm wondering if you could just tell us a couple of the main areas of your life that you felt that way in. Was this personal? Was this professional? Was this both?
It was everything. Yeah, it was everything.
Yeah.
In every way, I felt kind of paralyzed and afraid.
Yeah. How long had you been feeling that way, Kim, before our paths crossed? How long had you been in that pain?
In varying degrees for a while, but intensely for 5-6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had been feeling very intensely paralyzed, scared. I remember our first conversation. There were some things that were happening in your personal life, and they were really impacting your professional life too. I remember some conversations, some fear around like, that you weren't performing in the way that you wanted to perform because there was like, some crossover that you were having a hard time really focusing on your work. It wasn't that you hated your work, but it was that you couldn't focus on it. Do you want to say any more about that? Sweetie, we can't hear you. I wonder if can you just say that again? Maybe you're covering the speaker.
There was so much turmoil.
Right.
Good. And so much uncertainty that was sort of taking up all of my brain space, and I had a lot of anxiety about it all, and I think that just rendered me unable to really pay attention to what I needed to pay attention to.
Okay, got it. So you had been feeling this level of uncertainty and anxiety, and you knew your life was changing, and you were at a crossroads in your life.
Yeah.
But you couldn't hear which way you were supposed to go or what you were supposed to do because of the anxiety of being at the crossroads.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So there was all of this uncertainty. You knew things were being called to change, but you had no idea what direction you were being called to go, and you couldn't figure it out on your own.
Right. And I didn't know how to even how to pursue what it might be.
That's a really important piece. So it sounds like you knew something was off, but you weren't exactly sure what the problem was. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, great.
Yep.
Okay, so you join the program, you get into the program, and what was the first thing that you feel like really changed you and the course of your life? I realize there are a lot of different breakthroughs and ahas we had. But I wonder if you could just think back. What was one of the first things that you realized about yourself that started to shift things?
I was scared to death to do the program. It wasn't to be revealed in the way that I needed to reveal myself was petrifying to me. So when I started to do that, and it was as excruciating as I thought it would be, but when I started to do it, it started to sort of take the shackles off of me a little bit. I started to sort of relax into it a little bit, and feel that it was maybe going to be okay. And that allowed me to sort of start relaxing into other parts of it. And then when I actually got to go and be there with everybody, then it continued even more in a very intense way. And this was something I absolutely needed to do because I was all about shame and all about hiding myself and being isolated. And this was a vehicle of basically forcing me to do what I needed to do, that I'm not sure I would have done on my own.
Cool. Okay, so I want to ask you, because I just think you just said something that's really, really, really important. You were hiding yourself. You were isolating yourself in some ways. You knew that. You were hiding. But I'm curious, Kim, did the people in your life know that? Like, would they have ever guessed that you were filled with insecurity and shame and not really wanting to show your full self?
No, I'm pretty high functioning.
Okay, tell us about that, because so many of the women are, right, that we work with that, that are in the program. So, what would the people outside of you have thought or said about you?
I think that they mostly would be surprised by hearing that, and not experience what I experienced, in interacting with me. That's what I would think. I mean, I've had that reaction before when I have told people about how I felt. They were surprised.
Mm-hmm. So would you say they saw you as strong, as,
yeah.
What would you say they saw you as?
Strong, together. Just kind of doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
Taking care of business.
Yeah. So you were a woman who used to take care of business, who had your shit together, who was strong. I mean, I remember like one of the things we talked about is the one that everybody else came to. Like people would come to you. You were the one that held it together, right? For
Yep.
your boss, for at one point your ex, right?
Yep.
Your boys, your family, your children, your
Yep.
friends. You were always that one. But on the inside, what I'm hearing you say is that there was a part of you that was hiding.
Yeah.
And isolating and not being real. So can
Yep.
you just tell us how that, I just want one more question about what it used to be like, and then we'll talk about like how you started shifting it. But like, Kim, what did that feel like? I mean, nobody would have guessed it from the outside because you're successful and you're high functioning and, you know, strong, and so on the inside though, for you, what was your experience like? Was it insecurity? Was it self-doubt? Was it imposter syndrome? Like, what was it?
It's all of those things. It's all of those things. And it was, sort of a complete disconnect with myself. I didn't really take care of myself. I didn't pay attention to myself. And I really, really needed that. I didn't put myself first. So I suffered. I just was suffering and I was doing it by myself. While everybody else thought I was fine and I set out to please everybody else and take care of everybody else. I just wasn't taking care of me because I didn't really know how to put myself first.
Yeah. I love what you're saying. So I don't love what you're saying. I love that you're not in this hell anymore, but I love what you are able to vocalize and verbalize now that you're on the other side of this, that you were disconnected from yourself. You weren't putting yourself first, nor did you know how to do that. You were people pleasing and being a perfectionist and being an overfunctioner and holding it together for everyone else. And you were doing it by yourself. And on the inside, you were suffering tremendously and had no idea what to do about it because you'd been living that way for how long?
Oh gosh. Really, forever in varying degrees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I've always sort of had to take care of myself and my own needs because I never really felt that I got that coming up.
Yeah.
So it just carried on.
Yeah. So that belief that a lot of strong, successful, high achieving, accomplished, high functioning women experience, which is I take care of myself because I'm not sure that anybody else can take care of me, right? If I don't do it, who else will? So it's a pattern that we all learn. So I hear that that's the way that you had been living your life. Okay, so you come into the program. You're super scared to be vulnerable. I remember our first couple calls, you checking in with me afterwards, being like, I'm afraid I'm taking up too much space. I'm afraid of all of the shit that came up. So what I want to know is, what you said is that like as you started coming on these calls and doing the work, not only developing relationships with the other women in the program, but also going through the curriculum itself, the shackles started to come off. You stopped hiding within the group first, right? You started to be vulnerable there, and then that started spilling out into other areas of your life. Mm-hmm. So how did that impact the rest of your life as you started to, take the steps on this journey that we went on together, joining the calls every week, having this experience and what you learned? How are you able to take that into the outside world, into your relationships?
I think that the more that I gave myself permission to be who I am and to be seen a little more every day, the more that I could use that empathy to connect with other people in ways that were much more meaningful than what I was doing before. In ways that were more authentic, in ways that were more about what I have to give, in ways that were more about recognizing my strengths and giving myself credit for that and owning it. And in doing so, that makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. The word confidence just came to my mind. I'm just curious, is that something, would you have called yourself self-confident before the program?
No, ma'am. Mm-hmm. No.
And how do you feel about that word now? Like, if you just really feel into that and yourself and what's true for you about your own confidence, your own worth now?
It's growing.
Yeah.
It's growing.
Yeah.
day to day. I mean, I would like it to go faster than it's going, but I can feel it moving.
Yeah.
And there's a calmness that comes with that, like a knowingness that comes with it that I didn't have before, which is extraordinary.
Will you say more about that?
I guess in the absence of fear, this is what came in slowly but surely. That I can trust myself, that I can trust that I'm going to be fine, and if people see me, it's okay. And I can trust that my reactions to things or my thoughts about things do have value. And I don't need somebody else to tell me that they do, to the extent that I did. And so there's a kind of knowingness about that's just calm. It's calmer. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have my days where some of that stuff comes back, but I'm more and more aware of when, why, what I need to do to come back.
I want to ask you a question about that, because I think you could actually share some information with the people who are watching and listening to us now. So I just want to really reflect that once we got rid of the fear of being yourself or the old pattern of doing it all alone, what came in was a couple of things. You said a self-trust, like a belief that you can truly trust yourself, that you can express yourself. And if people like you, great. If they don't, so I do hear an increased level of self-expression and a little bit more confidence in, like, I can be who I am. And then I also heard you talking about you're more authentic in your relationships, which has led to a greater sense of vulnerability and connection that feels authentic and not as forced.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you said, I still have days, which, this is like, none of us are, enlightened masters living in a mountain. We are continually learning and growing, right? And so what do you do now, Kim? I would love for you to tell everyone, whether it's tools you learned in the program or any things you've picked up since then, like, what do you do now to get back to that place? Because before, you didn't even know there was a place to get back to. So now you know what that feels like in your being. So how do you get back there?
I stop what I'm doing. I take a big pause. I might remove myself in whatever way I can. If I can get out and walk, that's the best thing. But I take the pause and I check in with myself. And I try to become very aware of whatever feelings are going on with me. I try to become, I try to sort of soothe that little girl that we talked about a lot. I still talk to her all the time. So I take a pause and I check in with myself. And I'm a little bit more every day kind of able to put together what are the various forces that I might be in the midst of that might be affecting me. And there are so many exercises that we did in your program that I still refer to that are tools that to be aware of, and that awareness builds a little more every day. Because I go back and I read things that we did, things that I wrote in the program, and even now when I'm a couple months on, gaining ground that I've gained, it's further illuminated by going back and reading those things again and remembering. And so I'm able to recall all these things and plug them in when I need them.
Oh, I love that, Kim. So we're saying that, like, ultimately what happened is that you learned a new way to live, one that you still reference and pull from. A lot of women, ask that, like, why, how do we make transformation last? Right. And how is it, like, why is this work? Or why is this different, than another course or another thing or another, like, whatever it is. But, I watch this with you. I watch this with all of our clients that come through, that there's actually a new way of being. You just learn how to live and be different. So I know it can be hard to put words to how and why that happened, but I'm curious for you, if you look back at our program and, however many weeks it was and however long you were in it, did you feel like there was one moment for you, like 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, 5 weeks in, whether it was like a moment where you're like, wow, I'm different? Or was it a thing you thought or something that someone said? I'm just curious for you.
Mhm.
When did you realize that you were different? That you had changed?
I'm not sure there was a moment. I
Mm-hmm.
think there were a lot of moments.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't one that was like an epiphany.
Yeah.
Um, there was that whole visualization exercise where you are on the stage as a younger person and then you, the older person, is in the audience. That was huge for me.
What did you see? Because this is a beautiful exercise that I take the women in the program through about their purpose, to find their purpose. Do you want to share what that little girl on the stage said, or what you learned about yourself that you had forgotten?
Well, I mean, it was such a great kind of visual idea that, you know, to have a stage and an empty amphitheater. I really related to that whole setting, and I just saw a very exuberant, kind of devil may care, smiling, loose, free young girl up there, and that really impressed me. And what really impressed me so much was that what she said to me was, "You don't have to do anything. You can just be yourself and let it all hang out, and that's all you need to do." And for whatever reason, the visualization of that particular situation that you set up, and my seeing myself in it was really, really, really powerful.
That is,
I would.
thank you for sharing that. That is really beautiful, and what a wise little child you've got living inside of you. I want to ask you two other quick questions, just practical, and then and then I'll guide you to just share a little bit more for the people watching. So I want to know. I mean, I know you have two boys.
Mm-hmm.
I would really love to know how, if, like, what you saw change in your mothering and in your relationship with the kids during the program, because I know there was a lot that came up
Mm-hmm.
around that for you. Just how did you change, and what did you do to change that? Is something I'd love for you to share.
Okay. Um, that's been lovely. The stronger I get, the more confident they feel.
Wait,
And
wait,
that's an amazing thing.
that's huge. Could you say that again? That's so huge.
The stronger I get, the stronger I feel, the more confident they get. They see a mother who they can rely on, who they are sure of, who they know is strong and has their back. And it's made a huge difference for us because there's no sort of gray area. They don't, you know, they know where they stand. There's no sort of insecurity with them because they know who I am and they know what to expect and they feel confident that I'm taking care of them.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I didn't
just
have that before.
you did not have that before.
I did not have that before.
I mean, part of why
I was all over the place before,
yeah, yeah,
and
like
it didn't make them feel. I don't think it made them feel particularly well cared for. I mean, I take care of their needs and I'm there for them and all that, but emotionally, I think it was a struggle for them. When I was struggling, they were struggling.
that's so huge, and it's so true. The children, spouses, the people who are closest to us, but especially children, right? If we're not happy, they're not happy. If
Yeah.
we're struggling, they're struggling. And
Yeah.
I love what you said. The more confident I am, the stronger they are. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember, when you and I had our breakthrough call at the beginning, and,
Mm-hmm.
you were telling me about what had been going on with the boys, and you knew this. You were like, I know that what's happening right now is causing me not to be the mom that I want to be. And if I don't change something, I'm going to lose these boys.
That's right.
Right. And I mean,
So
lose
scary.
metaphorically, but it was scary. And
Yeah.
you did this. You didn't just do this for you. You did this for them. And I'm just so happy for the three of you because you did this work, and now everyone in your family has benefited from it, which is
Yeah.
so huge.
Yeah. And I feel, it continues. It gets better and better and better every day. There's little things that shift every day. So it's not like, it's like you always said, and it's a journey.
Yes.
But I'm now on a much better kind of path trajectory than I was before. And I'm so incredibly grateful.
That is so incredible, Ken. That's so incredible. What a blessing for your boys. And then, of course, the trickle down, right? For eventually their wives and their children. And just this is why we do the work on ourselves. We don't just do it for us, right? We do it for everyone around us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm wondering, one more question, and then I'm going to have you share a little bit of wisdom. So I'm curious if you noticed how the work impacted your professional life. So, remembering some conversations around, conflicts with your boss and expressing your needs. And have you noticed, did you notice in the program, or have you noticed since then, is there anything that's different for you professionally?
The confidence at work is big, because I can push myself to do things before that I would have been scared to death of. And I can actually, at first I showed up and I acted as if, and I'm still doing that a little bit, but I'm also much better able to put on the game face and go out and do what I need to do. Whereas before, I was too afraid to even try that, because I was sure that everybody I encountered would see through me like a laser, that everything that I felt would be on the outside and it would be a disaster. So I think that in that kind of calm ability that I've cultivated, that I know that I can do certain things that I couldn't do before, makes me relax all the more and be able to share myself all the more with the staff that I am in charge of. I have a lot more sort of empathy and understanding and ability to listen and interact with people than I did. And I think that the gifts that I have are much more likely to come out now than they were before. Because I was so afraid to do certain things and to let myself be vulnerable and to put myself out there.
That's tremendous. That's tremendous.
It is tremendous.
That's tremendous. So not only has there been a part of the imposter syndrome, it sounds like that has diminished dramatically, right? There is a part of you that has stepped into owning your gifts more, right? And you're not as insecure and fearful of just being yourself. And so it's led to more confidence in showing up and doing things that you wouldn't have done before,
right?
Which is tremendous.
Exactly.
So you're being riskier in your professional life too, right? Because you're not so afraid.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. It's amazing.
Okay, so I would love just this last little piece. Like, are there any advice? Is there any advice? So for all the people who are watching, listening to this now in the future, are there any advice or tips that you would like to give the people listening right now?
Well, one thing that I learned, and that I'm going to carry forward in my life, is be willing to stick yourself out there way beyond what you're comfortable with. Be willing to do something that you think is crazy and that you say to yourself, did I just do that? I mean, should I really just, sorry.
That's all good.
Did I really just do that? And did I make a huge mistake? One sec.
Thank you. I think you're still with us. Yeah, your beautiful face is frozen, like in a great position like this. You're like, but we can still hear you. So, okay, you were telling us to put yourself out there, which is hilarious because you were there you are, you're back. So put yourself out there, be willing to put yourself out there and do things that you wouldn't have done before. Just be like, did I just do this? And are you talking about anything specifically or just in general?
Well, when I made the decision to get in touch with you, I had never done anything like what you do, or even contemplated doing anything like that. Never in a million years. And every step of the way of sending the email, of getting on the phone with you, of showing up for the calls. I mean, every single part of that was a push. Yeah. And it has brought me to a new level. And so the lesson to me is, you got to figure out ways to do that every regularly so often, so that you can keep this trajectory going and you can keep discovering those things that you never dreamed that you could get to. So I would say that's the main thing for me. I
That's
plan to do this for the rest of my life.
and by this, tell us what you mean.
Meaning I plan to push myself and put myself in these situations where I'm amongst my peers. I'm letting myself be seen. I'm doing things that I've never done before that make me slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I push myself
That's
in
it.
ways that I
That's
didn't
it.
before.
So you were saying, right, that the key to you having gotten to this point in your life that you could have never dreamed of before, right? And never dreamed that living this way would be possible for you, right? That you could be this confident at work, that you could have this relationship with your sons, that you could feel this much kind of peace and trust rather than anxiety and fear. The only
Yep.
reason you got to that place is because you pushed yourself outside of your comfort zone and did something you had never done before. And it was
Exactly.
scary every step of the way. Your heart was beating when you sent that email and applied. Your heart was
Yep.
beating when we talked on the phone. Your heart was beating when you came. So it was never comfortable. So that is such good advice that in order for us to have the life we want, to choose our dreams, even if we don't exactly know what those dreams are, we have to be willing to move past our fears.
Yeah.
So that is huge. And now you have a whole new way of living. Like that you're not ever going to not do this. That you're choosing to do something out of your comfort zone every single day. And that's how you'll continue to grow.
Yes.
That's tremendous. Kim,
Yep.
thank you so much. Okay, so you guys, thank you for joining us. And look, if you have any desire to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, you may or may not know whether we're going to be a good fit for each other. And if not, that's okay. That's what we do on this call. So I've opened up my calendar. There are a handful of spots this week for breakthrough clarity calls. And what these calls are is, you and I will get on the phone for about an hour, just like Ken and I did all those months ago, and we'll talk about what's going on in your life, right? Ultimately, I work with high achieving, high functioning, successful women who are often professional and feel like they're burning the candle at both ends. And they know that something's off, they want more, but they're not exactly sure what it is. And so if anything has resonated with you during this interview with Kim, go to this link, juliesantiago.com/apply. Grab a spot on my calendar. We will talk about what's working and not working in your life, in your career. And if I can help you get to where you want to go, we'll talk about that. If not, I'll share that with you too. But either way, this could be the thing that you choose to do today that, as Kim advised, stretches you outside of your comfort zone. Be willing to put yourself out there. So if you want to have a different life, you have to do something differently. So if you're called to this, book a session with us. Kim, I cannot thank you enough for sharing your experience and your lessons and your learnings and, your beautiful life now. Thank you.
Thank you. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. Have a beautiful day, and we'll talk to you and see you again soon. Bye-bye.